Hey guys, and welcome to episode 7 of Mayfield and Friends. Today I'm joined by HoorayForJay. Jay, why don't you introduce
Sup,
yourself?
everyone.
What was that? Sorry?
Yeah, I just said sup, everyone.
Oh,
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Hooray for Jay. I play almost exclusively on a level 3 skiller. Been around since the beginning of old school, so I'm very old man now. I started playing when I was 19, and I'm now 28. That's a lot of gaming.
and you stick with the game pretty strong, right? You haven't really taken too many big breaks over the years.
Yeah, I like probably biggest break I've taken is about 3 or 4 months when I got burnt out from something. And like even then when sometimes take breaks I'll like make a hardcore or some other dumbass account to play on. Um but yeah, I don't tend to get burnt out, I think, because I don't put in as many hours as some people, like per day, so it's like burnouts are less likely. I play a good amount for me.
And do you want to tell everybody what kind of account you play?
Yeah, so I play a level 3, so you train everything apart from combat stats. Uh, yeah, pretty much that. When I first started, I didn't know what sort of account I wanted to make. I was like, do I make a pure or a Zerker or just a regular main or something? I wanted to like stay level 3 until I figured out what the vibe was from old school. Like if I didn't know if it was going to stay around or like what would be the most fun. And then I ended up staying level 3 for like a long enough time where it's just like, yeah, maybe I just stay a snowflake and stay level 3. And here I am, 9 years later, never accidentally got a combat level. I'm pretty close though. I've got like 77 XP in all my melees and yeah, 52 range XP. And half of that is like making mistakes as well.
hmm
So yeah, pretty tight on the level 3.
So I want to go right into what you had talked about playing old school since the initial release in 2013.
Yeah.
So before old school, how long did you play old school? I mean, just RuneScape in general.
Um, I think I got into it when I was like must have been like 11. So my cousin got me into it. He was playing like RuneScape and Tibia and shit like that, and he got me into this. And then I had a few accounts. I had a I remember when I was a kid, it was like I got to level 25, and then I went around a friend's house and turns out he plays RuneScape, and he was like level 70, and I was freaking out how high that was. And then later on into my teens, I had like a PKing account. Um, I figured out that you know, like old bounty hunter where you just had you collect EP in the wildy, and you
hmm
have to have like 76k risk. I did that for like a good few years, maybe 2 years. And I found out that I was like a range tank, and I found out that the dragon plate body had zero range bonus. So like most plate bodies had a negative one, so people would wear like tank legs and then a d'hide top. And I was like, actually, it's better range and defense to wear dragon plate and then black d'hide chaps. But like no one else was doing that. Either I missed something that was stupid or I was ahead of the curve. So I just did that and had like a hand cannon and shit. Actually, a cool story when I remember years ago, well, around this time, I killed someone who was risking like void and fire cape and all sorts of shit. And like when you lose your untradables, you can't claim them back. So no one ever risks untradables. Um, and I killed him, and I got a Vesta longsword, which was 16 mil, and that was quite a bit. And then fast forward to like 2017 or 18, when I was talking to my mate called Musho, who'd been in Z-Skillers, you know, a good few years. We were chatting about old times, and we came to the conclusion that that was him. And just by chance, I'd met and became friends with this guy who I PK'd like almost a decade ago, which is
Yeah,
kind of funny.
yeah, that is incredible how some things come full circle like that. How you don't really realize, oh, I played with you. years ago. I'm sure there are people that we see on our day-to-days, like whether it be other level 3s or other like
Yeah, yeah,
high level accounts that, maybe we knew them back in the day, but because I have friends who I've played RS3 with and who still play old school to this day, like friends, like, people you'd add on Facebook
yeah.
or like Skype with or whatever it may be.
It'll be like high levels, whether they're high level threes or like just maxed accounts, because those I feel like the people who play as a kid and then play as an adult, they've already got this head start, and the culture is very much like a higher level of gameplay now. And yeah, chances are you probably know someone from back in the day, and neither of you know each other. Maybe we need a thing like ancestry.com or whatever, when you just have a list of all your old accounts, so then remember your friends list or some shit.
Yeah,
Try and find partners that you had ages ago.
that'd be very interesting to see like how many people that like you would have lost connection with. Then you're like, oh, you're
Yeah.
actually like, this like rank 100 Iron Man or whatever it is.
Yeah, a few months ago actually, someone DM'd me, who who knows the name HoorayForJay from like years ago. He used to hang out in Casserole clan chat, and Casserole was like top 20 player at the time, and like everyone would just go in the top players clan chats and hang out, and then Casseroles was kind of wholesome, like all the other ones like Zazima or Zezima or whatever, like people would just be chatting shit and spamming, and then it'd just be not a great time. And then Casserole was pretty chill, and we had a little community, and someone like built a Discord for the old Casserole hangers, and joined that, and it was super weird. I'm like seeing all these old names which I just only barely remember who they are. And it's like, damn, we're still out here, like 10 years on gaming.
It's very interesting to see like that because you can really only name a few games on maybe one or two hands, noting how
Mm.
long people have played, how long the community has stayed around, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel that's partly why I've stuck with RuneScape and Melee Super Smash Brothers, as like they're almost exclusively the only two games I play. Any others I'll just like dip in and out or play for a little bit, but I've really stuck with these two like all my life pretty much, as long as I can, long as since I hit double digits in age, I've just stayed with these two, and it's very cost effective as well, playing the same game forever.
Yeah, because you're not spending, all the money on the new Switch, PS5, whatever it may be, building a crazy PC to play these games. Because most people
Yeah,
know, like, you don't need a crazy PC to play RuneScape, and it's like a very accessible game in that sense.
yeah. I actually you say that I actually bought a PC to play Melee because over the pandemic. So if anyone doesn't know, Melee is played on the GameCube, which is like came out in 2001, and they've had three sequels since then, but this is still like the big one everyone plays.
Hmm.
And over the pandemic, obviously we couldn't play anyone, and online Melee was pretty laggy and shit. And in a game where every single frame matters, you don't want any sort of lag is kind of trash. But this guy made a thing called rollback netcode, which basically instead of so like RuneScape, you do your input and that gets sent to the server, and then it does the input and then sends it back to you, and that's how normal delay-based netcode works. But the one with rollback, whenever you do your inputs, they happen on your screen instantly, and on the opponent's screen, it like predicts what move or what button is most likely to come next. And if it's correct, then great, it's smooth gameplay. And if it's incorrect, then the game will retroactively update what buttons you pressed on your opponent's screen. And like when you've got like 60 ping or less, then it's very, very smooth gameplay. Like you can even feed. I've played with people from America, which is kind of crazy on a with a game that you're playing like I said, every frame matters, and it's a bit jittery, but like smooth enough to play, especially when the buttons you're pressing happen on your screen instantly,
Hmm.
which is all that like really matters when you're trying to play smoothly. So that's pretty cool.
So when it comes to playing Melee on the PC, do you guys still use a modified like GameCube controller with USB input, or do you guys use like a Xbox controller?
Yeah, but most people use a GameCube controller just because you have to use a GameCube controller if you're playing in tournaments in real life. So you just it's just that download an emulator and this specific online thing that this guy set up. Um, yeah, I got my game. Yeah, I got my USB GameCube adapter plugged in. There's this thing where someone figured out. We're talking like micro frames, like the speed at which the computer like recognizes inputs
Hmm.
and then delivers the frame. So they found out that if you use port 2 on the USB adapter, it's like like ever so slightly quicker, like a fraction of a frame. And still to this day, no one really knows if it's like legit or not because you can't visually test it because you wouldn't notice. So you have to like use some analytical tool to test it, and even then, it's like, does it actually make a difference to us? But yeah, I basically bought a PC just so I can optimize the shit out of playing Smash Online. It was a huge thing for me. Like it happened like 2 or 3 months into the pandemic, and this guy's been working on it for a year. So
Hmm.
it just came at the perfect timing um, to keep up both of my major gaming interests.
And with that being said, we were just talking a little bit before this happened that a big Smash tournament had just happened. So what was that big tournament that just happened?
Yeah, so it's Apex 22. So they've had like quite a lot of Smash tournaments in America. I feel like everyone looked a bit tired like for this tournament. Like everyone was making small mistakes and stuff. Um, but yeah, there's like for the first time in a very long time, it's not clear who the number one player is. Like they're all just optimizing the fuck out of the game and adapting to each other's shit. Like, because you can get better so much quicker now. You don't have to sit in front of a TV and um, playing by yourself trying to figure stuff out. There's so many guides, so many tools. Just the network of sharing information is so much quicker. So everyone's like leveling up super hard, and it really is just who's playing better on the day or who's adapted the most since their last set. To the point where like typically bad options become good options because if you're not expecting a bad option because it's a bad one and you respect your opponent not to do it, then if they suddenly do it, it's like, oh shit, I wasn't ready for that because that's a quote unquote bad option. Um, yeah, it's a weird landscape at the moment in Melee, just not knowing who's the best.
And I think
Um,
Melee is one of those really interesting esport games, as I had mentioned before we had talked. Not only for the fact that it is similar to other big esports like Counter Strike, League of Legends, Dota, how they've all been going on for a very, very long time, and how the landscape over time changes. And how you had said, well, you can't really patch a game that's 18 years old. So the game doesn't change, it's the players who change the methods at which the game is played, right?
yeah, I think there's pros and cons to adding patches because some of the Smash sequels you've had like Brawl, which came out in 2007 on the Wii. Meta Knight was like broken and OP, and there were no patches for Brawl essentially. So the community, like a lot of the times, they just decided to ban Meta Knight because it was too good. And I see the reasoning, but it kind of sucks that you have to like ban characters that are so good because that's just a developer oversight of not understanding the competitive scene. Whereas Melee hasn't, as far as I remember, hasn't had any real bans. Like they banned some sort of stalling tactics, which is just, you can stall out the game, and like one move which people have decided is broken. But other than that, it's really just down to the players to just, this is the hardware we've got. This is the limits of the game. How far can we push it? Even to the point where people have like developed new controllers for the game. Like people play on arcade fight stick style controllers. Um, they've just like modified USB things for those to work, just so they can. So some do it for like because they get arthritis or shit from pressing buttons too quickly, so they find having a keyboard style controller is like easier on the hands. Some people do it for competitive advantage, and it is great how it's still growing and it gets fuck all support from Nintendo, which I think makes it stand out from a lot of other esports. Like a lot of other esports, the company will support them financially or hosting tournaments or even publicizing the tournaments, whereas Nintendo is like, yeah, we don't want anything to do with it unless it's like a tiny bit profitable for us. And they've like tried to cancel tournaments because we've been using uh like modified versions of the game just to make the stream clearer because it's such an old game. You have to run it off a CRT, which is like a super old TV, and then you
Hmm.
have to upscale that to a PC, and then it gets a bit blurry. So like people modify the game to look clearer to the viewer, and Nintendo were like, "Nah, that's cringe. We're shutting it down."
Hmm.
Um, and despite all that, it's still going. A very grassroots community, which is kind of nice.
And you said you've been playing this game. Did you start playing Smash as well, kind of when you were a kid?
Yeah, so I played it when basically when it came out, which was 2001, 2002, not sure. Yeah, I basically grew up with this game, and then it was only in 2013 when I found out that there was like a competitive scene, and it had been going on since the game came out, and I'm like, oh shit, maybe I wonder how good I am. And obviously, I was trash, like everyone else who finds out people do it competitively. I sort of got into it. I played a lot of my cousin who also got me into RuneScape. We basically grew up playing RuneScape and Smash together. Grinded the game, and I got into the power ranking for the UK, which is the top 25 players of a season. I got into that for the first time last season, which is pretty cool. So I'm currently 24th in the UK. Um, Still going to tournaments. There's a ranking coming up soon. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it, but I'm not too fast. You know, once you get on the ranking, it's like cool, I did it, and now it's just whatever. I focus a lot on playing doubles now. I think doubles is there's a lot of untapped potential in being able to make it into a team game, like all these, you know, like you said, like League of Legends and Dota and Counter Strike things. There's uh a lot of interesting dynamics when you have to play with a teammate, especially when you got friendly fire on in melee, so you can hit your teammate. So you have to be able to attack your opponent without hitting your teammate. Or if your teammate's off stage and then they need to recover, you can like hit them back on potentially. And there's so many cool little things you can do in doubles that I really enjoy figuring out.
Yeah, absolutely. That is I think we can probably draw some parallels too to your time playing RuneScape. Whereas, like like climbing ranks, whether it be XP ranks, the third party collection log high score ranks, temple record ranks, whatever that may
Yeah,
be.
totally. Yeah, I've thinking back, so many little accomplishments that I've had on my account. Um, really lie on the fact that people have helped me out, whether it's, you know, being nice or like a mutual exchange. Like I remember back in 2013, um, I think I was the first level 3 to 99 construction. I literally can't remember. I was either the first or the second. I was definitely the first to untrimmed. Um, but basically, bots were, you know, there were a lot of bots about, kind of openly, and that was pre Grand Exchange, so you had to just go to Barrock and sell shit.
Hmm.
Um, and I half my friends list were bots because they sell stuff in bulk and super cheap. So I wanted 99 construction to be my first 99 because I'd never got a 99 before, not even like on actual RuneScape. And I remember training fletching and I got to 98 and I was like, nah, I can't have my first 99 be fletching. That's fucking weak.
Hmm.
Um, so I ended up I 99 construction was like 85 to 100 mil back then. Um, I did a combination of gnome restaurant mini game to collect like gnome scarves. I got about 100 gnome scarves overall, just from that mini game. And the other half was I talked to my favorite bot. His name was Wowoo. I think I've still got him added somewhere, but I don't know. It's probably banned by now because this was like 9 years ago. He'd sell me oak planks, and he'd sell me oak planks at a discounted price because I'd keep buying them from him and I'd haggle with him, and I had this rapport where he knew that you'd sell something slightly cheaper if you know that you're going to get repeat business and you could just sell your whole stack in one go without any risk of being caught or something. So I'd buy his whole stack of oak planks and then I'd sell them slowly on Zybez or Zybes,
Mm-hmm.
while doing the gnome restaurant. I sell them at a markup, so I just like merch off this guy. Um, and then he'd be back in a week with more oak planks from his bot farm, and I just keep doing that. The funniest thing was he sold them to me for 340 each. Um, and oak logs at the time were about 60 GP, and the cost to turn logs into planks was 250. So if you do the math, this guy's making 30 GP profit per plank. But if you just sold the logs, you'd be making 60 GP profit.
Yeah.
So I didn't really understand like how I was getting them so cheap. Maybe there was a miscommunication down the supply chain or something. I think it was because like they were easier to sell than oak logs, and you take the 30 GP loss just to be able to sell your product quicker.
Exactly, and
Um,
I think that, like, nobody really delving into the Iron Man style back then, or a very minimal amount of people, so people didn't want to do that stuff on their own.
yeah, totally. And there'd be times when but people would shout out in the friends chat and be like, "Yo, this bot's selling red chins for 300 GP. Come buy out his stock. I don't have enough money." And then a few of us would go to World 2 and like buy out his stock. That happened quite a few times, which is nice. But yeah, little things like that, just using different members of the community to like progress in the game. I said using, that sounds pretty bad. Working
Mutual
together.
destruction.
Yeah, working together, and it's the same with my massive raids grind that came later. Like, obviously, you can't do raids without mains doing it. Um, and the hardest thing about it is getting into teams, like being able to, I don't know, it's kind of social skills in a way. Like, you can't just rock up and click and play the game. You have to actually like talk to people, explain what the fuck you're doing, and why they should allow you on their team. They can be kind of tiring, but once you once you become well known enough, you can just use your status to get to get into places. It sounds really insidious, but like, it's fucking RuneScape, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's a really great segue into one of my big points I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
What are you most well known for in RuneScape?
Um, I feel like it's got to be Dusted Olmlet. Um, like to mains at least. Like whenever I used to like join a raid team, like after I got the pet or something. I didn't have the pet. I'd always be like, "Oh, you're the guy with Dusted Olmlet." Um, I don't know. I feel like in the level 3 community, I'm just generally known because I've just been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Like, why do you know me? I doubt people know me as. I feel like level 3s won't know me as the guy who fucking got 99 construction, or I'm just, another max skiller, or even like Dusted Olmlet. I think it's just been around the block. I
I,
reckon that's what the
yeah,
average person is.
I would say a
Well, how
good.
do you know me? Yeah, what about you?
I would say it's a very
You-
good combination of course, when I initially joined Z Skillers, and for those who don't know, that is the clan I am in, the clan I've been a part of since pretty much the founding of Mayfield. It was like they were Z was like one of the first big skilling clans in '07, right?
Yeah, people probably know me as the one. They know that I'm in Z Skillers. I think that's what level threes will know me for, because there's always this, not like beef necessarily, but it's like a label you have, like, oh, this person is, who's this person? It's like, oh, they're from District 3 or Z Skillers or whatever.
Exactly. And then I think the other two things that stick out to me when people talk about Jay, it's like he is the level 3 with like some of the highest raid KC, and he's also the one of the big completionist level 3 like achievers, like not just like achievements done, but like kind of, 'cause I know you've been working on a spreadsheet with some other people on what a level 3 can and cannot get done in the collection log. So do you want to talk a little bit about that and like what your collection log slots are at, and then like what has taken you the most amount of time aside from raids? Because and then you want to talk about your raids, Casey, as well, because I'm sure people would love to know how far in you are, how far are you away from the
Yeah,
2000
sure.
CMs cape.
Yeah, so um, yeah, so basically, ever since I started, um, I've never been that interested in. I don't know. I feel it feels kind of silly saying this. Like, I'm maxed. I got a 200 mil, but I've never really been into the typical shit that you do. Like growing up playing this game, I've done most of the things that you can do. Obviously, like never got a quest cape or anything like that, but I've done all the skills to death, and I know what's going on now. Whereas there's content that never really gets explored too much. Like the sort of like people do, people like try and look for bugs and try and get into places they shouldn't be and do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd be really interested in that sort of stuff if it wasn't for the threat of getting banned. Um, so I'd go like a step below that, which is doing stuff that people don't do, such as Gnome Restaurant, for example. Like it was a probably wasn't the best money maker, and nowadays you'd be like, oh, just play on 5 Rune Dragonauts or whatever. But back then, people didn't know about tick manipulation or just literally anything you could do, and it was all just how can you take advantage of the economy to make money. And I just found no restaurant, I liked it, and I grinded that. And it's basically from there I was like, what other cool shit in this game can I grind that isn't strictly 99s? I loved clues from the start. I think I got the first Zami page ever in like the whole of RuneScape. I got a Zami page on my first ever clue, and as soon as I started, already had members, and I just went straight to hams to try and do easy clues. And like
Mm-hmm.
my first clue, I got a Zami page. I was like, shit, is this the first one? I sold it for 100k, and I was popping off because it was like old school to RuneScape 3 was like 1 to 1,000
Yeah.
uh in like the first few weeks. Um, But yeah, I've done a lot of weird shit. Let's have a look. I'm doing sorry, I'm doing Castle Wars at the moment. To just to get the decorative golden plate body just for another log slot. I do like filling out the logs. But yeah, I'm rank 1 for a lot of weird things that people typically don't give a shit about, but
Mm-hmm.
that's fine by me. Like I'm rank 1 for clues. Almost all of the individual ones. I think there's a guy who's got more easy completions than me. Other than that, I rank 1 for every individual clue thing. Like I got 322 hards, 1 elite. I'm still the only person who's done an elite. Um, 3 masters, 2400 beginners, 5100 easies, and 2300 mediums.
And that's rank one complete, as in like some of the in the high scores pages, like your rank one, or just overall level threes.
Oh, just level threes. Yeah. Some people are like to do anything above beginner, we're just naturally at disadvantage because there'll be some steps that we can't do and have to drop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for level threes and rank 1 in all of those except easy.
I only asked for the
Um,
clarification because I know some people will turn their nose and be like, "You're not actually rank one."
yeah. Oh, I did used to be. I've got a picture of me when I was rank 1 construction overall, which is the only rank 1 I've ever held.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty cool. I was like, at the time, there were like 20 people with 99. And the rank 1 had 16 mil XP, and I was like, yeah, I'll dump the rest of my bank on this. And it's like 120 mil back then is like an absurd amount of money. Um, well, a lot of people might not know. I remember, so yeah, Tribuo is another old school like 2013 player.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out if you know his previous name. But we were both like grinding skills at similar rate back then, and he was doing the resource skills first. He was doing like mining, fishing, woodcutting, all that shit. When I was doing the Bibles, so smithing, crafting, herb lore. Um, And back then, all smithing, cooking, herb lore, crafting, they all made money. The demand for potions was more than the income for herbs. So you could do like prayer pots to 99 and make like 60 mil.
Yeah.
Um, so I basically maxed for free. So just by maxing using like by getting the Bible skills to 99, I'd make a profit. And then I could spend that on construction or rune crafting or whatever, or fire making as well. And it worked out pretty nicely. I can't remember how much money I had at the end, but do you know how much maxing is now? Like, is it a deficit? I imagine it is.
Oh yeah, especially if you want to do the EHP rates. If you're trying to do it with like RC runners and you're trying to do it with other
Yeah,
sorts of things, it's like you're going to be spending a lot of money.
yeah. Even for a casual, it's probably a big loss, right?
Yes. I think
Like if
like
doing like winter pods and AFK fly fishing or something.
because even if you're doing it, yeah, even exactly if you're doing a casual, like already herblore and smithing are going to cost you quite a bit. Fletching, especially if you're doing it. I mean, people still do longbows and string longbows. Like that is fine. It's just not the way you're quote unquote supposed to, right? People will do
Yeah, you.
MLM, make money doing that instead of doing 3-tick granite or like. I think the
Yeah, yeah,
biggest the biggest skill that stands out to me as like a deficit will always be construction herblore. Everything else you can pretty
yeah.
much do to make a profit with, like crafting, smithing, fletching. Like you can do much slower methods that will make you money, but it's just not worth it usually.
I feel like construction's the only skill that is a loss that's not based on the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the others have economical factors, whereas construction is strictly you build something and then destroy it. There's no product that comes out of it that you could potentially sell for more, depending on the state of the economy.
And the only thing that I
Um,
can think of with construction that you can make money from would probably
Empire making.
be doing the flat packs.
Yeah, does that give construction XP?
It does,
I
but
can
it's
never remember. It does.
extremely slow, and nobody buys the
Yeah.
flat packs because like why? What's the point?
Yeah, and you don't if you ever buy a flat pack, you buy one and then you're done, you know. It's not
Exactly.
a that doesn't get turned into something or doesn't get used up. It only gets used once. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the point actually. Um,
But it's
yeah,
not a
imagine.
feasible thing, right? It's because nobody's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it.
I'm trying to imagine a world where the products of construction, i.e., flat packs, would be worth more than the supplies used. I guess like maybe in very early days when like if some sort of construction, like some sort of wardrobe is incredibly sought after and needed high construction. But yeah, that's just like being a bit doing a hyperbole.
I don't even think you can do wardrobes because you have to upgrade it every time, right? You can't just do like you can't just
Oh yeah,
initially
true.
make a yeah, exactly. So it's like in what sense would that skill ever be profitable? Only thing I can think of is like making like clockworks or mouse toys back when mouse toy abuse for agility XP was pretty big. But even that I think gives
Yeah, that was
crafting
the
XP,
thing.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Crafting and I remember doing those toys for like the first few agility levels. I really like how they've like the additions of rooftops, Motherlode Mine alone just made the game so much better, in my opinion. Like some people are mega purists and like, oh, well, iron and granite was the way, and it made mining more respectable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I guess you could argue that RuneScape 3 everything's less respected now because all the XP rates are super high. And it's like, well, it just means that the level you need for respect is higher, and in roughly the same amount of hours spent. So it all just scales up, but it just makes the game more fun to me at least. Like I know Mudlow Mine's like more AFK, but it's more interactive piece of content than Iron and Granite and shit. I've never been one for all these gamer methods, which is the efficient methods.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's funny because like I'm maxed, but I'm actually mega fucking casual about this game. Like if anyone's tried to see me like play LMS or do bossing on another account or try and be efficient in anything at all. I can't do it. I can't play first person shooters either. I suck with a mouse and keyboard. It's
So
just it's not my DNA.
yeah, so for you, it's just like it's kind of also proof to the fact that like you don't have to play this game 12 hours a day, do the highest, sweatiest, efficient methods to get to the point at where you're happy with yourself. You can play for
Yeah,
9 years and just do MLM and just do casual methods, but just do it like over time, and you're eventually going to reach those goals.
yeah. I always joke when people talk about EHP, and I'm like, why are you doing the efficient method? Do you just want to finish the game quicker? Like, what the fuck? I'm getting more enjoyment out of this game. Imagine if you complete the game and you're like, oh shit, I'm done now. Nah, I play it slowly and badly. I'm efficient happiness hours, you know? And just like some people are like, oh, I gotta, back to redwoods, or oh, I gotta train wood cutting. And I'm like, you don't. You can just not do that and do something else.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like I'm in the minority where when I'm playing RuneScape, I'm rarely doing something I don't actively enjoy. Like there'd be times when I'd be like, I don't enjoy aerial fishing, but I want the log slots, right? Which is what most people do. They don't enjoy the thing that they're doing, but they want the reward.
Hmm.
Which is what this game runs on basically. But I find enjoying what I do quite a lot of the time, and yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do enjoy three tick fishing, but I reckon a lot of people don't as well. And people probably don't enjoy AFK fishing as well, but they do it because they want it at the end. Um, yeah, I feel like I'm the few that enjoys what I do in the moment. I
And
think
that's
that's why I've chosen to do weird shit as well.
Yeah, and that's like very something that I think a lot of people like lack the appreciation for is that you don't have to go out and do two tick fishing for 200 mil. You could, if you really want to, and you really enjoyed Temperos, go do Temperos. If you want to just sit at the
Yeah,
Barbarian Pond and you want to fly fish all day and like do something else on the side, perfect. Like I have things I do while I play the game. So I mean, like many people who have watched these casts notice that I do agility the whole time. If you ever look back at the screen, I'm always running at Artie, and I already have 99. Yeah, but I made the joke when I was talking with Plundering that only 3,500 more Mayfield and Friends casts, and then I'll have 200 mil agility.
yeah,
But the joke stays because I like agility in short stints. I don't like sitting here running circles for 12 hours a day. It's something that I'm like, oh, I could do an hour or two of agility a day. Other times I'm like, okay, I want to go do Wintertod. I want to go do rune crafting. I want to, it's not something I
yeah.
feel inclined to do.
If you're doing something while you're doing those things, it's like zero time happiness. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like playing RuneScape while you're enjoying doing something else is like fletching bolts. You know, you're just getting those happiness hours in for no time lost.
Exactly. And I think that's like,
Yeah,
bringing up the doing things that people don't like for the reward. I think the collection log is one of those things that like when people you can get that like little pop-up that says collection log completed and it like broadcasts to your friends and like, I finished aerial fishing today. Like you said, like most people don't like aerial fishing. It's not a fun method, in my opinion. It's not something I'm going to actively do. But
yeah,
having the pearl, having like the fish sack, it's a cool flex because like people know like, oh, you spent time there doing that because and not because you like it, but because you want to be like, yeah, I got the fish sack.
yeah. I think it goes to show that I only do things I enjoy. Um, I think my aerial fishing log is a proof of that. I got like 20 pearls and a tench, and that was split across like 6 or 7 attempts to try and grind it. And I'm like, this sucks, dude. I'm like, maybe one day I'll enjoy it, but it's a log I've just avoided because I simply don't enjoy it. Whereas it's something I eventually want to do for, just my general account. But,
Hmm.
there's still a shitload of content out there that needs to be done, which is why I've sort of moved away from training skills. I think since I started raids, like my EHP increase was super low because one, I'd be doing raids, but after I finished raids, I never really went back to skilling. I like just started doing weird stuff like oh, my Castle Wars game just started. Yeah, like Castle Wars for this little thing. I recently did Bounty Hunter. I did 2,500 kills to get a cosmetic hat. and it's like that's kind of dumb, that the number goes up, but that's not the number that goes up that everyone else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's just this game, right? Number goes up, whatever that number is, you can find enjoyment in it. Which is why I grind clues, bounty hunter, raids, little things like that.
So do you want to talk
It's just
about like
a
what
novelty.
your actual collection log looks like? Like how many slots do you have filled
Yeah,
right now, and what is your theoretical level 3 finale? Like what is the amount of log slots you think that you guys will be we as like level 3s will be able to get to?
yeah. So that's something that I've been meaning to work out. I'm actually trying to. So I've got no experience with making plugins, but what I'd like to do is get the help of someone to make a plugin that essentially hides or grays out any of the log slots you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm currently at 606, which I'd be surprised if I wasn't number one. I am carried by clues because they're much easier to get log slots. Um, yeah, I've got a few. I've got almost all Wintertold, almost all Temperos. The standard stuff. I've got Rogue's Den done, Mahogany Homes done, stuff like that. A few things missing. Like I need to do the typical skiller things I need to do is like Giant's Foundry, Guardian of the Rift, um, aerial fishing. There's stuff like Castle Wars, which is not many people go for because it's just log slots that you can't really wear anything past the halos and the banners. Um, Last Man Standing, I don't know how I'm going to do that because I suck at the game. But I'm really glad Hardcore Level 3 is grinding that. He's carrying the Level 3 community. In our completionist Discord, we got a channel that's like the community collection log. So we're trying to see uh, collectively as level 3 community, can we get all of the log slots ticked off,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty cool. I did Volcanic Mine for a bit. I still need the tome, um, but that mini game sucks for skillers if you've ever tried it. It's like a lava monster spawns and it will one hit you even if you brew up. So little things like that I've been grinding in the past. Um, what else we got? Yeah, my notes, which it's like you go into the waterfall, the whirlpool at Barbarian Assault. I can't remember how you do this again. It's like there's like a note spawn or a chest or something, and you just keep camping that until you get all the notes. It's just yay, log slots,
I think you de-aggro everything for 10 minutes and then you go to like a
Yeah,
skeleton and you rummage a skeleton.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, yeah, that's what I did.
So I know I've
Um,
seen many people do it, and it's like it's a even like people may not think it's impressive in level 3, but I think it still is because like one of the things you can get that will spawn is like a skeleton that can one hit a level 3. So it's like you have to reset the aggro every time and all that kind of stuff. So it's like it's a very tedious 26 slots to do.
yeah, the way I play the game, it's partly like other people. It's like a small part I feel like is other people going, "Wow, that's cool, weird flex, but okay." Um, I think most of the shit I try and do is just like the fact that no one has done this or is very uncommon to do is like a novelty in itself. Um, which I think is why I got hooked on raids like not long after it came out.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, we can talk about raids for a bit because the that's the biggest grind I've done by far. Um, I think I maxed in 2016. So I think raids either is a longer grind or as long as a grind as maxing.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I was talking to this dude about like, oh, can level threes do raids? Like, what the hell goes on? What do we do? And I tried to join some like random teams and I got like 4 KC, and then I was just hopping worlds, like hanging around the raids place. And this is when challenge mode just came out. Um, and this guy saw me there, and he was like, "Hey, can you join my raid for a sec?" Like he wanted me to scale it down. Um, so back then, the difficulty of the raids scaled with the average combat level,
Hmm.
up to like 15. So if your average combat level was below 115, then the raid would be easier. And when it came to doing challenge mode, you didn't really care about points. You just wanted the dust. So people enjoyed that I came along with them. Um, and he just wanted me to scale the raid, and I was like, "Yo, I can make potions for you and stuff." And they're like, "Cool." I sort of got into this little community of max mains doing challenge mode raids, and they were like, "Yo, we love you, bro," because they just wanted me to scale and leave, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll make potions," and then they didn't have to stop and make potions themselves, and they were super happy about that. Um, and then it's basically networking from there on. Like you chat to their friends, and then they raid with other people, and then they all get to know you, and then you just gain that thing of I'm the only level 3 doing this right now, which is a cool novelty on its own, but also really helpful for you know doing raids. Because if there's a million level 3s, it'd be like it's a buyer's market. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I ended up doing quite a lot of raids with just random challenge mode teams. My challenge mode KC got to like 400s, whereas my regular was like below 50 at the time. Um, and that was a lot of fun. And I ended up getting. I didn't really have like know what I wanted from it. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get some drops. People would share the drops with me, which is really nice and not needed, but people would just split me because I made potions. So I made about over the 3 years of raids, I made about 2 bill, which is you know not very lot, not a lot of money for doing raids, on a main. Um, but the fact that half the people would split me and I'm just not killing anything, that's a huge plus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, then I got the dust at around 200 KC after getting a few drops, and I'm like, holy shit, I got the dust. And that was only a few months in, and it started the whole 3 year grind for the Olmlet because I was the only level 3 with the dust. There was another guy with the Olmlet who got it on first KC in a mass, which is like the most spoons thing you can be.
So I
Uh,
think anybody looking at a level 3 who has the Olmlet, that's the clip they've probably seen.
yeah, and I'm like, I have to be the first one to do this. So we did more challenge modes with people. Um, then there was an update which actually helped me, which is they changed the scaling. So it doesn't scale with the average anymore. It scales with the highest combat level. So no matter what team I'm in, um, whoever the highest combat level is, if they're above 115, it'll be scaled to the max. Which kind of flipped the tables because before I was good for challenge modes because you wanted it easier and quicker. You didn't care about points. Um, but no one wanted me for regular raids because you want points, and I just give people less points.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's the opposite. No one wanted me for challenge mode because it's just an extra person um, that's not dealing damage. Whereas in regular raids, I'd be an extra person, but that means more points, and I can make potions for them. So I'd go in like the Weedy Raids Discord, and then try and get into teams. It was about 50-50, whether some people were like, no, fuck off, leech, and some people were like, oh, cool, we'll let you make potions for us. Some would split, and some would, we'd agree that I'd split if I get a drop, and they wouldn't, and shit like that. And it was a fair deal because I was only there for one thing, which is the omelet. Um, and yeah, that was a 3 year long grind. It it was a big part of RuneScape and a big part of me sort of becoming a bit estranged from Zskillers because that was before clan chats. And obviously I had to be in a friends chat to raid because that's how the party system works.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent like 3 years not in a clan chat, and it was super weird. I was still like the leader for a long time, and I was like, I'm waiting for someone to usurp me, like someone worthy of running the clan, someone to just say, "All right, Jay, you've not been in the clan for ages, you're out." And then finally happened. I'm like, "Cool, all right, here you go."
Because we
Uh,
had Milo for a while, and now it's Tim Riggins, right?
yeah, yeah. Shout out to my boy Tim. Big fan of Tim. I still remember. Uh, I was in like it was either Skype or TeamSpeak, and we were like looking for new mods, and I was like, "Do you want to be a mod?" And he was like, "Yes, please." I'm like, "Yeah, sick, dude." Uh, so yeah, come a long way, my boy Tim, proper lad.
Yeah, and and that's fun to say because, like, you and Tim are both people I've seen around since I originally joined the clan. It's been, God, about 3 years now. Little
Mhm.
under 3 years, I would say.
Yeah, that's sick.
It's a very very
Yeah,
long time to commit to something in most people's cases.
yeah, and yeah, there was a period over lockdown where I was still doing challenge mode raids even after the scaling update. Um, and it was like I was actively detrimental to the raid. Like you'd be better off either not taking me or just having another main. Um, but people, because like I've made this network of friends and like people who would raid with me, like they take me along because they wanted to see me get the omelet, and that was really cool.
Mhm.
A lot of them would split me, and it's like this is just as fit as the RuneScape community can be sometimes. Like you find the right people, and they're just pretty chill with you.
You find the
Um,
gems in the dust.
yeah, exactly. Like you can really make some friends for life on this game. You can also find some horrible people who DDoS you for fun, shit like that.
Mhm.
And yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So I did like the rest of my challenge mode KC pretty much with those guys over lockdown. Um, there's a period where like I didn't have any work for like a long time. Like I was still employed, but the only work I could do would be on site, which I couldn't go to. So I was like, cool. I guess it's raids all day. And the other times when I did have work, I was like just running stuff on a laptop that takes time to do. Um, so yeah, I did a lot of raids with those guys. They were called the Hot Guys. Shouts to the Hot Guys. Um, and yeah, when that sort of fizzled out as like people were starting to go outside again and people weren't all on at the same times because we're in like different time zones. Um, I finally got the Olmlet when I started raiding with KE4, which is like a mass clan,
Mhm.
and they'd be running masses pretty much 24/7. Um, and that was another difficult socializing because the people who run it like didn't speak very good English. Um, and I was like trying to explain like hey, can I join? Can I make potions? And it was a bit of a language barrier, but again, just because people knew like they saw my KC and then they just like I don't know respect you more, which is kind of fucked because it's like we're all just dudes, right? And
Yeah.
there's this whole culture of like being good at the game makes you more worthy of someone's time to a point, and it's like that with all games really. I don't really agree with it, but it exists. So uh, use that to my advantage. And there was a random. I was doing a raid, and someone else got the omelet. And before the raid, he was like, "If I get omelet, I'll do a 100 mil drop party." And he did it. And I was like, "Yo, if I get omelet, I'll do 100 mil." And then 3 years, three raids later, I got the omelet, and I was fucking popping off. Like 3 year grind for this stupid little fucking pixels on the screen that doesn't really result in any financial gain. I was freaking out. I bought a bunch of arcane scrolls and just 100 mils worth of the drop party. That was sick. I think I burnt out pretty hard after that, as anyone who's done a massive grind will know. Like whether they do 200 mils or
Mhm.
whatever, it's like shit. This is most of my online life for a very long time. What do I do now? Um, but I enjoyed it all. It was a lot of fun. Raids is pretty decent content even when you're not killing stuff. Kind of dynamic, and there's loads of tiny little things like tiny micro adjustments you can make to speed something up or get more points. Like if there's a puzzle room, when do I run down to join them in the puzzle room, um, and make sure that I've got enough potions for them for the end of the raid.
Mhm.
And like you don't know what room they're at, so you have to like guess how long a room takes, and there's you can just it's like saving ticks on maximizing points. And that was kind of interesting. It's like a little maths game. I had a few formulas in my head that I figured out how to do them. Um, And yeah, now I've got Dusty Omelette. There's one guy with Omelette. There's one guy with Dust recently, YN3, and I'm the guy with both. And the clan I raided with, K4, they now charge 8 mil per challenge mode raid,
Mm.
and I'm like, that's fucked. So not only did the scaling make it harder to join challenge mode raids, the release of Theatre of Blood and Tombs of a Massacre means less people are doing challenge mode raids, and it's like, who knows if like unless you've got extortionate amounts of money, which this guy YN3 does, um, it's going to be so rare, or like I don't think anyone's going to really be grinding raids unless you're super rich and have an affinity for niche bits of content. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of glad that I got everything when I did.
Do you envision yourself going for that 2K CMs in the future with friends who aren't going to charge you, or is it kind of because what's your CM KC right now?
Uh, let's have a look. It's like 1100 or something. Yeah, 1093. So I got the 1K cape. Um, and then all the other ones came from like random raids I do. Like I join random masses in We Do raids, or I just see a couple friends going, and I was like, "Yo, can I join for one or two?" Um, it's sort of a stretch goal. I don't think it's something that's easily grindable currently. Um, the hard, like I set up this whole Discord to explain to people how to raid, and all the little strategies that you need to know and need to learn to maximize points. But the one thing I can't really teach people is the first step, which is finding teams,
Mm-hmm.
because there isn't set method for finding teams. Like if you want to do Wintertods or whatever, you go to the Wintertod world, or you can do it solo. Um, but with raids, there's no protocol for raiding on level 3. People don't do this normally, so they don't have a oh, this is what we do when level 3s raid with us or whatever. Um, it just really is a lot of effort of either being lucky, having friends that already do that, or joining communities. I don't know how you do it nowadays, honestly.
I mean, I have
Even
some friends who will bring me along every once in a while, but that like you have to have those friends who are in that like stage of the game if they're irons or even regular
yeah,
accounts to be able to raid.
yeah, it's heavily dependent on one, you have to have you have to have friends, and two, when they're doing CMs, you can join them. So those are two quite specific, like overlapping criteria, especially with the amount of content in the game now. Um, and yeah, it's good luck to anyone who's doing it now. I'm kind of glad I did stuff like I did herb lore when it was profitable, crafting when it was profitable, raids when there are a lot of teams going, and if some people don't want you, it's like fine, I'll join the next one or find other people. Um, and it's not even really viable doing it yourself, like alting, which is what people do for certain bits of content. They just play on another account and let their level 3 leech or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But good luck if you can do challenge mode on 2 accounts, then props to you. Because that's I don't know, that's kind of hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like on level 3, you still have to get points, so you can't just like set your AFK timer to 25 minutes and then just run half the raid, click once on your other screen, and then run the other half of the raid. You have to like, you know, help
Yeah,
help with the thieving room, help with the ice demon room. You have to do the bats and all that kind of stuff. It's
yeah. If you just wanted KC and Dust Chance, you could just negate points, but then you're missing out on potential loot and potential Olmlet drop.
mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, that sucks. That sounds too hard. That's not a really viable strategy. So yeah, it is difficult. You either got to be filthy rich or have status or have friends who are currently doing challenge mode and also currently want to join you.
Mm-hmm. Not only that
So
is
yeah,
you'd probably have to have
tough.
friends who want to do the 2K KC cape because like most people who do challenge modes, they're looking for T-bow, dragon hunter crossbow, claws. They're not looking to do the full 2K.
Well, people who do challenge mode pretty much just doing it for the dust because you get more points doing regular raids.
Oh, really?
Um, Yeah. If you're after points, it's regular raids all the way. So challenge mode is like the completionists who are grinding for the cape, or going for dust. If you're a completionist grinding for the cape, you wouldn't take a level 3 because it would take longer.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have the balance of people try hard enough to be going for a pretty much end game cosmetic, which is the dust, but also not so try hard that they're willing to sacrifice some of their points and time to let you come along. And yeah, that was hard then, and it's even harder now. So the other alternative is be filthy rich and pay. And even then, it's not easy to find people to leech. Like KE4 will let you leech, but not all the time. Only when they've got 16 people or more.
Mm-hmm.
So while they run regular raids the whole time, but challenge modes only come about when there's enough interest. Because it's fewer points, so it's only people going for dust. Um, so yeah, it's it's tough. Like I said, I'm glad I got it out of the way in a way. There's different ways to take advantage of the economy or the state of the game or what people are interested in to just get stuff done.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the hard things that, you know, you're so unique in that sense that like since you've done so much, you're probably one of the only level 3s with the 1K cape, if not the only one.
Yeah, I'm the only one with 1K and 500s as far as I know, unless 1 and 3 is caught up. Um, yeah, the only one with a lot of the higher tier bounty hunter hats, just random little things that no one else does.
And it's not
Uh,
even just like it's not even, you're not even trying to make a point. You're doing it because it's something that you enjoy doing and want to do.
yeah, it's like, hold on, no one's tried this. How viable is this? And yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Poison Dynamite, which is coming out on Wednesday, confirmed.
I was just gonna
Um,
ask. That was my
yeah,
next
yeah,
question for you.
nice. Yeah, so I think this update will be. I feel like it's the single biggest content opener for level threes, and yeah, there's always been ways to kill things for 0 XP or low combat XP risk. Um, and I've never been one for doing that sort of stuff. Like you could do this cannon spawn hitting stuff.
Uh huh.
Um, but in my mind, I'm like, shit. What if I fuck up or I lag? It's like account ruined, and it just wasn't for me. When I saw DPS doing giant mole, I'm like, dude, you're crazy. I'd be terrified that I just like misclick once.
That's that's
Or
that's also my fear of like not doing some of the diaries with the cannon because it's just like
yeah,
I'll grab my poison iron dagger from rogues and I'll do the things I need to get done. But otherwise, I'm not going out of my way to risk the account for that kind of stuff.
yeah. Or people would do it on fresh accounts for like the novelty of that. But then even stuff like Port Kazard when he got the fire cape on level 3 post the the patch that Rendy and Exact used.
Hmm.
That's an incredible accomplishment. Like, yeah, he wasn't the first, but to understand how much longer it took and how much more difficult it was is truly insane. Um, and I can't help but feel like it detracts a tiny bit that this isn't his main account. It's like you've got one of, if not the sickest single accomplishment in the game on level 3 at least. Um, and the account just sits there as like a trophy, and it's not something you continue playing on to enjoy.
Hmm.
Um, and that's basically what I wanted from my account. Like I wanted a sick achievement. Like the first one was 99 construction. I'm like, great. I'm not gonna sit on this novelty. I'm gonna get a bunch of other novelties, um, and just see what other shit can be done. Uh, and that's sort of what I really like about my account is that I've found obscure bits of content that no one else does, and then grinded them as much as I can. And I remember like I don't know, like 5 years ago. So I was maxed. I was like, you know, a high ranking relatively person with XP, and I joined like Teams TeamSpeak or Discord, whatever it was at the time. Um, and people would like talk to me like I was, like grinding EHP or what's my best hour. or like, oh damn, you're burnt out, you're only doing 4 EHP days or something, and it's like, that yeah, sorry, bro, I I don't grind this game the same way that you do. I either play fewer hours, which is still a lot of hours. Like if you ask a random person and say this is how much I play, it's like shit, that's a fuckload.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
compared to yeah, like but compared to like actual RuneScape grinders, it's like yeah, it's kind of low, and definitely nowhere near efficient. And in a way, I'm kind of glad that I'm out of that scope. Like people don't see me and think, oh, this I need to compete for ranks because it's like, yes, I don't do that. Sorry, I'm I'm here killing 10 alts in Bounty Hunter for a cosmetic hat and yeah, dumbass stuff. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's the best part about RuneScape. You can do whatever you want as long as you find it enjoyable. And there's so many small games within the main game itself. It's like
yeah,
you can literally do, people always joke about open world games and all that kind of stuff that you can like do whatever you want, but like I feel like RuneScape is one of those games that's like truly gives you the unrelenting facet of being able to do whatever you want within the scope of the game, of course. Like you want to go do crazy high level PVM, you've got it. You want to sit and cook a rock for 12 hours a day, you got it. You want to play fun mini games with your friends like Barbarian Assault, Pest Control, Castle Wars, all that kind of stuff. Like there's communities to like play real Castle Wars games. You don't have to just sit in AFK for it if you really didn't want to.
yeah. I know this isn't a popular opinion, but I actually kind of feel sorry for PvPers. Like I know it's sort of a meme that oh vote no on PvP polls or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and PvP community is always whining. Um, but it simply down to the fact that because the community has changed along with the way the world's changed and how people play games, um, there are no like noobs anymore, right? And people want to go to the wieldy and find random noobs not knowing what they're doing and kill them, and like that doesn't happen. I know everyone's like so good at the game if they go into the wieldy, um, or like smart enough not to go into the wieldy for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're PKing at edge, you're PKing with other PKers. There's no like noobs like thinking, oh yeah, let's see if I can kill people for fun because everyone in general is smarter than that. Um, and for all the updates that we get trying to rejuvenate the wilderness, it's like it's not going to matter because people aren't incentivized to do this sort of stuff. It's the same reason why, um, like you say, people do play Castle Wars, but there's like it's a specific niche clan that does this for fun rather than it being a popular thing on every world because it's not
Mm-hmm.
you're not training stats, it's not efficient, you're not gaining much from it in terms of game progression. um and yeah, I do like sitting in that. I'm quite comfortable being one of the I feel like in the minority where people just enjoy, like yeah, everyone enjoys getting rewards or progression. But just doing fucking around for the fun of it is kind of great. Like I'd often just like when we do little clan events like over the years, they've sort of died out recently, but we used to do them. I used to be the events coordinator for Z Skillers. We do a clan event every week, and we always get like 20 plus people every time, and it'd be so fun.
Mm-hmm.
When Navis did the bot walks, they were pretty fun. I'd like to do one of those again. Even 99 parties, like everyone would just stop what they're doing and show up and, you know, just piss about for half an hour to an hour. And now it's like, oh, it's just far less common. And it's a shame, really. But as as the world changes and people change and the community changes, you can find enjoyment in other things. Like the fact that everyone's sick at the game now means that you can do raids and like you can create content that's incredibly difficult. Um, and then socialize or play with other players that way. Um, and as much flack Jagex gets, I feel like some of the ways that they've been trying to pin down the positive aspects of the community, they've sort of done pretty well with some updates, like especially raids and other group bossing activities, like even Temporos and Winter Tods. Like these are group activities, and even though you're probably going to get people shouting slurs at you half the time. It does feel a bit. It feels old school, having just being a massive group of people doing something. It's like Wintertodt is like the Castle Wars of modern day. You can skill and also kind of fuck around, and you don't have to be sick of the game to get decent rewards.
And the
Um,
requirements are low, and barrier to entry is pretty low.
yeah, yeah. 50 fire making is relatively low for nowadays. If you had a 50 back in the day, it'd be like, whoa, high level. I remember my old account, I was like level 80 and I had 60 summoning, and people would freak out. They're like, wow, you're summoning so high for your
Mm-hmm.
combat level. And it's like, this is a meager achievement. It's because I use penguins for a lot of my XP. Um, and yeah, it's the same way RuneScape 3 is like the barrier for doing something impressive have gotten higher. It's the same with old school, compared to either RS2 or even early days old school. It's like the barrier for impressing is going up, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means you can find interesting ways to play the game, or you can do high level content that gets made for you. Um, yeah, I think it's interesting to see how it changes, and it's cool to adapt. But yeah, poison dynamite, eh?
Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah,
ask you what are your big goals for Poison Dynamite? Because I got a few. I got like one or two left for you. I know it's getting late for you, so I don't want to keep you too
yeah,
late.
no worries, no worries. Um, so short term, I want to get a couple of diaries out the way. Um, I actually want to complete the Cam Dozel log. Uh, you have to kill like some of the golems to get a Baronite guard,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just at 8 out of 10, and I'm like, that'd be nice to finish. It's a good way to like test out the dynamite and get a grip on how it functions. Main goal would be 99 Slayer. I've got a friend who's lent me a high level ult that I can use, so I'm going to be trying to grind Wildy Slayer, see how it goes. Um,
That's also a plan of mine is unlock broad arrows vis-a-vis Wildy Slayer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like what 300 points or something.
Yep. So it's not too bad. It's like I think it's like 12 tasks.
Yeah, I think it's 12 Wildy tasks. Yeah, you have to complete like 5 to get points, right?
Yep, and then you
Initially.
get like and then you get like a pretty decent amount at 10, and then I think you get like I think for because Wildy you get more points in general. So for me, it'll just make
Yeah,
sense to just suicide, go to the Wildy for 45 minutes, re-suicide, bring more. Well, I won't be able to bring enough dynamite out to last 45 minutes anyway.
yeah. It's going to be tough on a UAM. I just run to the bank, whereas you have to go all the way back um to the scabbard cave.
Exactly, and
Um,
my biggest advantage is that I have the Edgeville um respawn,
yeah, yeah,
so everything is pretty
yeah. That's
easy, and
pretty good.
then I can yeah exactly like you said, go to the Scavad
Oh,
caves, Nightmare Zone.
you go the nettles, don't you, to kill yourself at Edgeville?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I might train Slayer slightly slower than other people might because I'm also grinding for log slots. So basically, if you're doing Slayer, you'd get the first hit with Poison Dynamite, and then you get an ult to just kill it normally, and then you get half XP,
Hmm.
which is quick. But if something drops a unique item, then if you kill it with an ult, then you don't get the drop. So depending on what tasks I get, I might just like try and kill it solo or like only recoil and venge on the ult account,
Hmm.
um, to get a chance at really rare drops. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna see how it goes. Dynamite might be shit. I've heard some complaints about in the beta, like, oh, it's really inaccurate because obviously it rolls off your combat stats, so you just have to wear highest attack boosting gear, and pot up, and then you've got like you can get like plus 46 range bonus, and then you put up to 6 range or whatever,
Hmm.
maybe 5 range. Um, and then just pray dynamite hits, which kind of sucks, but it's also completely fair because it was initially intended as like a replacement for spawn hitting.
Hmm.
Um, as like a non-bug abuse and a safer way of doing this. So shout outs to B5 who initially pushed this idea to Jagex like fucking 4 years ago or something.
It's
And it's
very
finally,
like
finally coming out Wednesday. I'm hype.
it's a very hype thing, and like for people wondering, like this won't go up for a couple weeks. So noting that we're recording this on the 20th of November, right? So by the
Yeah.
time people are hearing this, it'll be out. You'll probably have tested things already, right? I think the
Yeah.
biggest
It'll be out on the
thing.
23rd. So this is out. This podcast out on the 28th. Did you say?
No, the next podcast out. Well, it'll already be out by the time this airs. It'll be Plu, and then it'll come
Yep.
out the first week of December. Is was when you will come out.
Oh, first week. Yeah. So yeah, Poison Dynamite will be out for a week and a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it'll be shit, and I'll be back to Giant's Foundry or something. Plus the collection log slots. Hopefully it won't be. Um, Another thing I've heard people talking about is because of the Wilderness boss rework, where Callisto, Venenatis, and I think Vetion or Scorpio, I can't remember, but they're being changed to go into some cave where they've got the mechanics changed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so a few people might be grinding those bosses to get a chance at the pet before the update makes it harder or unfeasible.
Yes.
I thought about that and I might do it. I might give it a go. Like I watched a few videos on Callisto and how you safe spot it, and it seems reasonable. The Callisto pet's pretty cool. I think it's my favorite out of those three. So I'll give it a try. But like I said, I'm going to start off with some simpler tasks like Kandarin and Kebos Diary and
Yep.
this
Same.
Camdoza log. A porcine of interest as well, just to get those 30 Slayer points in case I have to skip something.
I'm gonna try and do
Um,
getting ahead as well, and getting just
yeah,
I'm gonna try and get as many quests basically as I done as I can.
yeah, I've thought about that. It's kind of funny how like I go for completionist stuff, um, but I haven't done all the quests and I haven't done all the diaries we can do. I don't know why that it just hasn't appealed to me, which is kind of weird. I'm
And I
all
love
about the
quests. I'm doing a huge quest grind on my alt right now that I'm making right now, and today I hit 99 completed, 186 points. It's like,
oh nice.
and I've only been playing the account. I think it has like 5 days played. So like, of course, you have to train stats. Everybody does winter time to start out to get some money, whatever. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and then I kind of got re-addicted to playing it. So now my main grind on Mayfield is re-obtaining my expert mining gloves for the third time. I dropped them the first time, and now they're becoming storable. And then I lost them on an almost wipe the second time. So
oh
I'm
damn.
yeah, so I'm doing that for the third time now, and now I have amethyst now, so it's slow, but like amethyst arrowheads net me quite a bit of money and fletching XP, so whatever.
Yeah, and then you'd be getting broad arrows for more XP, right?
Exactly. I think yeah, broad arrows cuts down the amount of arrow shafts I'll need to make by like a good like 15 to 20 million arrow shafts.
Decent, yeah. So yeah, I'll be grinding Slayer. I remember Kylo 8. He was the first guy to 99 Slayer. He had like a list of like which tasks to skip or which tasks to extend or the opposite of extend. Um,
Block.
and I was thinking, yeah, like because you can use those bracelets, right, to give you more.
Oh, expeditions and slaughters.
Yeah, yeah, those two. And I think I want to do at least one of every Slayer task, just to see how they are, because even though it might be less XP, some of them might be fun. I'm apprehensive about getting a Revenant's task. Like I imagine that would be something I skip. Because ideally you want to do the highest level monster that you can feasibly do, because then you'll get the most XP per dynamite
Yes.
and spend less time collecting dynamite. So that would be like the Revenant dragons or whatever, and that's a PK hotspot. So
And whereas for me,
I
I'm going for points. So I just do Revenant
yeah,
Imps.
yeah, exactly. So that might be something I'll have to do for Revenants. I'm not sure. Depends how much my ult is going to get PK'd.
Especially if they
Uh,
change the drop rate for the weapons, it might make getting the weapons on your collection log more feasible.
yeah, it might even be that I hate doing this because I get PK'd or playing two accounts is too much, and I just won't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I imagine I will like it, but it's the thing. If I don't enjoy it, I'm staying 75 Slayer, and I'll just do other shit because there's so much stuff to do in this game. Even seeing shit like Tile Man, and when people came out with Iron Man before it was an official game mode, I really like seeing all that content. Uh, it's just cool that you can play how you want.
And like the area locked
What
and
I do.
how they kind of
Yeah,
embrace
stuff
the
like
area
that.
lock with Trailblazer League and all that kind of stuff. It's cool to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
like the how the community has shaped the different things that the game has done over the years. And
Mm.
even as I say that, some of it's been like really bad stuff, like you said, with the lack of PvP content and like really isolating part of a piece of the community.
Yeah, it's like you can't whatever content you add, it's hard to enforce a certain way of playing.
Hmm.
Um, and for better or worse, right? You can try and enforce a certain way of playing, and it doesn't come out the way you like it. A lot of people find workarounds. It comes back to like patching games, right? Like, if a game can never be patched, then the community is forced to work with what they get. And when a game gets patched, people will always nowadays like try and exploit that to find the correct way of doing things or optimizing the shit out of anything. Um, which is, for better or worse, it's a part of RuneScape and games in general. And yeah, I think it's kind of cool. It's just the reason why I've been playing it for so long. Like, I think if nothing got updated, I probably would have got bored by now.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
which is weird because with Smash Brothers, it's never been updated, never been bored. I think it's purely because I guess the way the game changes is how the meta changes and how people play it because it's a strictly you only interact with each other, whereas RuneScape is, although economically you interact with each other, it's a lot of you're just you versus the AI,
Hmm.
you versus the NPCs, which I think needs patching to keep a game alive.
Exactly.
Um, yeah.
And I think before we go for 3 hours, right? So my two final questions for you, right?
Mhm.
First one is kind of something we've talked about a little bit, but never really gone super in depth with, and that is the question everybody asks other somebody else, like, oh, are you burned? So like, what is your method for staying true and staying consistent in a game that you've been playing virtually your whole life at this point when it comes to RS2, old school release, that kind of stuff? So what keeps you in the game?
Um, I think if you need a method that you're consciously, using to stay unburnt, I think that's unhealthy. It's like you clearly want to do something else. Why are you forcing yourself to do this thing? So I think I stay unburnt not through any willpower or like I'm not trying to remind myself, yeah, just do these goals because you'll really appreciate it later for delayed gratification. Um, if I get burnt, I get burnt, and I just do something else that I enjoy. And when I'm not burnt, I'm not trying to stay unburnt, or if I am burnt, I'm not trying to get unburnt. I just I just try and choose what makes me happy in the moment, the whole time. Whether it's this dumb point and click game or like anything else.
Hmm.
I think getting a bit existential here, but I think it comes down to a lot of uh in general in life, there's a lot of focus and pressure to prepare for your future, whether we're talking about, financially, like going to college or whatever, or things like that. Like, there's a quote from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'm not sure if you've seen that film, but it's like
A long time ago, I
life,
have.
yeah, and he's like life moves pretty fast. Um, it's something. If you don't hang around once in a while, you might miss it. It's something like that. And there's a lot of it's good for mental health as well. There's a lot of focus on just preparing for the future or things like that. And if you don't like think about what you're doing right now and think, am I enjoying this or am I just preparing for some future enjoyment that may or may not come?
Hmm.
Um, it sort of seems like a big waste. Like, um, so I work in tech. I don't earn a lot of money because of the work I do. I've had some friends who um, moved to London doing similar jobs in like high pressure environments for like a lot more money. And if they're enjoying that, then that's fantastic. They've sort of won the game of life. But a lot of people, they will work really hard and do a lot of things to make a lot of money or whatever, like to prepare for the future and things like that. And it's like, yeah, I could prepare for the future by quitting my job and taking up a higher paid one that'll be more stressful, and then I'll retire, and then I'll die. And it's like, shit, if I'm not enjoying myself right now, then is it really worth preparing for the future that much? Like, obviously, you shouldn't just, I don't know, fucking be unemployed and smoke weed all your life. Unless you've got the means to do so, then power to you. Um, but I don't know, it's kind of like that. Like in RuneScape, if I'm burnt, then I'm not going to force myself to do something I don't enjoy for some future gratification of my goals. I'll just find something else I enjoy. So my tip for staying unburnt is don't stay unburnt or don't stay burnt, whatever. Like if you're burnt, then you know if you're stressing that you need to become unburnt, then that's kind of not good for your mental health. It's like you just don't want to do this, and that's fine. You can just do something else. And then if you want to play RuneScape again, then great, then you do that. And that's that's how I've been doing it for 9 years. I've just been not
Mhm.
not stressing over it. I just play the game. When I don't want to play the game, I don't play the game, and I don't worry that I'm missing out on progress or uh, feeling that oh no, I'm getting behind on my goals. And people do that in life, and I don't know. As someone who struggled with mental health, like even now, but a lot more in the past, about worrying about progress and where I'm going and where I should be or where society tells me I need to be. It was like, nah, fuck that. If this is making me miserable, I'm doing something else. And yeah, I channel that into most things I do, including RuneScape, of all things.
I think that is a fantastic mindset. I think many people lack that because people will. I think there's a lot of pressure from your clan or your community or friends who play a lot to follow in their steps and also be the person who sunrise to sunset you're playing the game. You're doing everything as efficient as possible, whereas many of us, like you said, vis-a-vis Ferris Bueller, have not taken the time to just enjoy the game you're playing. You're trying so hard to play all the time, do everything as
And
efficient
that
as you can.
fulfillment they need. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that, I feel it myself because I'm sure people who, not just in the game, but like who watched my YouTube channel were like, hey, like, are you going to upload more than twice a year? And for a long time, I didn't because it was like playing Mayfield, I play like during COVID, obviously, I was able to play very actively, very sweaty,
Yeah.
right?
It's like bitch, I might upload twice a year. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. Like
Exactly. And the cast we're doing now is something that kind of came out of the fact that of my brain I was like, oh, I just want more content. But after
yeah,
I recorded them and really sat down with people and had these conversations, I'm like, wow, it's not I'm not doing it because I have to for content on the
yeah,
channel. I'm doing it because wow, it's interesting to listen to like you talk, listen to, my other guests, my other future people I've talked to, and like the people who have expressed really enjoying listening to these people because it's like a lot of the people like yourself don't do YouTube content or stream or have much of a social media like a gaming social media presence aside from
yeah,
like your communities you're in. So
yeah,
having the perspective of people from these other niche communities that people have like kind of looked into but never stepped into is
mm,
very cool because like I was never a huge completionist person, and then I remember the completionist cape coming out on RuneScape 3, and I back then I was a
yeah,
skiller.
yeah,
So it was like, well, that's something I'm never gonna do. But now with the log, it's like, oh, how much can I do?
yeah. And even like having a thing to go for, like the reward of completionist cape. Um, I imagine for a lot of people that does make you enjoy the grind to get there, which is great. Um, and it's funny how like the prospect of a reward, or completing the goal. can make you enjoy the road to the goal rather than just the goal.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Two things I wanted to mention. One was like I've lost count of the amount of times when people say shit like, "Oh, I gotta do wood cutting now for 99," and every now and again I'll just reply like, "No, you don't. Just just simply don't do it."
Hmm.
Uh, and it's obviously you weigh up the risk reward of how much enjoyment am I going to get from the dopamine rush of hitting 99 wood cutting versus time it takes to get there. I feel like a lot of the time people are, not hedging their bets and don't actually enjoy it. Um, yeah, the other thing I want to mention, talk about RuneScape content. Do you know we used to have a Zskillers podcast?
I did know that
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, so as we are talking about, getting burnt or unburned, we did a few episodes of the podcast, which was fun. But then I stopped enjoying it, so I stopped doing it, and it's as simple as that. I used to make a few like progress videos, and I was like, this is dumb. Like I don't enjoy making these. Editing sucks, so I simply stopped, and it's fine. And like you're enjoying making podcasts. That's great. I think this might sound weird advice, but the moment you don't enjoy these podcasts, just stop. Like
No,
I think,
absolutely. I that's the big
yeah.
reason I don't like put crazy effort in editing my videos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's sick. Like, do you watch any? Do you play chess at all?
I do watch. Yeah, I watch a little bit of. I watch some chess videos. I watch who's Daniel Nardovsky, or I don't know pronounce his last name, but like I watch his channel.
Yeah. Do you know what's his name? Gotham Chess.
Heard of him, but never watched him.
Yeah.
I've seen
So
like
he,
his streams and stuff pop up,
yeah.
but never watched
So he
anything.
he does daily videos, and he does daily videos because he doesn't edit them at all. He presses record. He talks about chess for like 20 minutes to an hour, and then that's it. The guy like clearly doesn't enjoy editing, so he doesn't edit. And it's like, yeah, his dog will walk in, or he'll go on a tangent about some shit, and it's basically like if people don't enjoy it, then fuck them. I'm still I'm gonna make a video without any editing at all. Um,
Exactly, and I do like the
it's what
very
you want.
minimal splicing clips together or cutting out things that somebody may not want on the air or whatever it may be. But I'm not gonna like go in and like write subtitles for the whole thing. I'm not gonna go in and make a really cool intro and outro for every single thing. I pay
Yeah,
somebody to do my thumbnails because I don't want to do them that much.
yeah. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like I understand in real life, you know, you have to do unless you're, privileged enough, you have to do things you don't want. Pretty
Hmm.
much almost everyone in the world has to do that. Um, and to me, I'm just hyper aware that RuneScape is a game and its sole purpose is for you to enjoy yourself. And yeah, you know, people can get gratification from reaching their goals, but if you're not enjoying reaching those goals, then you have to really weigh up, is it going to be worth your time? And I feel like a lot of people don't. I know I've talked about this a lot, but like, damn, I just want people to have a good time.
Exactly,
And
and
yeah,
it's one of those things. I feel like you said, you see many people like in their lives saying, "Oh, I have to go do this," and I look at DPS as a great example of if I don't want to do something, I simply won't do it.
yeah,
Man has how many
yeah,
hours and has some skills literally level two.
yeah. I always enjoy every now and again I just join the ex Skillers voice chat just to see what's going on, see how people are doing. Um, And then years ago, when I'd fairly regularly chat to people there or in the Zskillers Discord, and then DPS and Cosmic Blues would be arguing about some shit, like some old married couple, and then I joined X like after not joining a voice chat for like 6 months, and as soon as I join, I hear fucking DPS and Cosmic arguing again. I'm like, oh yes, I'm home. Nothing's changed. Feels nice. And yeah, it's little things like that, which gives me a nice giggle.
And that's a beautiful thing about the community is like, people may change, move on, but at the end of the day, they're still we're still very similar people we were, 5 years ago. It's just like Our mindsets have changed. Like you said in the beginning about how people who play this game have changed. Like
Mm.
at the end of the day, we all play this game because we started playing it how long ago? You know, it's
Yeah,
it's an amazing thing to think how many people and like I said at the beginning too, like how many games run for over 20 years with an active player base.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of crazy how it stood the test of time because I don't know. It's if you ignore the like truly interactive stuff like raids and that's like you have to click several times a second for engagement or whatever.
Hmm.
It's like it's just you click a tree and then you wait and then you get some logs. It still blows my mind. Like, why is this popular and enjoyable? Why the fuck do I like this? It's something primal about you click receive dopamine. It's just really streamlined the gaming experience. Yeah, I still don't really understand why this is fun. Like, even when there go times when I play and like not chat to anyone, I'm still having a good time, and that's dumb to me. I don't I don't have a fucking clue how
It's
it's
hilarious how the
still
brain
enjoyable.
works.
Yeah, yeah, super weird.
And I think that brings me to my final question for you. So
Cool.
between all the games you play, well, the two games you play, right?
Yeah.
So not just RuneScape for you, because you're the first person I've had on that really plays other games. Most people I've talked to have been like, yeah, I pretty much just play RuneScape, and if I don't want to play,
Yeah.
I just do something else, and it's not gaming. And it's as somebody who is a gamer, you know, like I waited for Elden Ring to come out. I didn't play
Mm.
RuneScape for 2 weeks. Put 80 hours into the game, finished it. Was like, okay,
Yeah, then you're done.
yeah. And then I came back to
Move on.
RuneScape.
Yeah.
It's my constant. Um,
Yeah. I have two constants, which I guess is an outlier for some.
Exactly. And my other constant is, of course, Counter Strike, and that's like I'm similar to you in that sense, where I have another constant. If I'm tired of playing RuneScape, I'll log into Counter Strike and go run some comp matches. And I have
Mm.
friends, and I'm in Discords for that kind of stuff too. And so that's my final question for you: is how do you manage your time between your job, home life, and doing the hobbies and playing the games you enjoy?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Um,
I ask because I know a lot of people lack that good work life hobby balance. I meet people
yeah.
who when they're not working or like hanging out with a friend or a significant other, they literally just sit on their phone the whole time and watch TikTok or like aimlessly doom scroll Facebook or Twitter. It's like, do you not have something else that you want to do to enrich your life? Maybe not enriching, just like something it's going to stimulate your brain instead of watching somebody do a silly dance for 4 hours.
Yeah, like there's a lot of I guess you just call it content in the most brain dead sense of the word, where
Absolutely.
it's for you to consume your time with and not do anything else. Although I don't play RuneScape efficiently, I feel like I'm naturally inclined to like live life efficiently in a way. Like, how do I put this? Little things like if I'm cooking dinner, I'll be making sure I'm doing multiple things at once. I don't like browse stuff. Like I don't browse content unless I'm doing something else at the same time, or
100%.
if there's specifically a YouTube video I want to watch and focus on, or a film or something. Um, and I feel quite lucky that um, I feel like I've got same with I've got two major games, so I don't have one thing to fall back on. I feel like I've got two major friend groups, which is like my work friend group and then my Smash friends group, like the community that I've sort of there's a broader community I've joined, and then there's a smaller local community I've joined. Um, and it's nice having you don't have that one thing to fall back on. Like if you're in a long-term relationship, it's like really important to have your own friends who don't interact with your partner often, because otherwise you don't have the one thing to fall back on.
Mhm.
Um, and it's like having parents, right? If your mum says you can't have this, you go ask your dad or whatever.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, so it all comes back to I just sort of do what I want as much as I possibly can. Like, one of the reasons why I haven't looked out for a more high-paying job, which I could probably get with my experience and qualifications, is this job offers flexible hours. Um, it's like half midnight on a Sunday, and a lot of people would be getting up at 7 a.m. or earlier to go to work or whatever. And I have the flexibility just to start pretty much whenever and finish pretty much whenever, as long as the work gets done. Um, and my friends in real life, at work, are all local, and it's nice to be able to just be like mess with someone like, hey, do you want to hang out? And people can and will. I know in some places, I imagine in like America, um, people living close is like an hour, 2 hours drive away. Uh, and people like living close here is like, yeah, I can just walk to their house and hang out.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
I have very few friends, so I can walk to their house.
yeah, having the flexibility of that is really nice. Like my group of Smash friends is like a 30, 40 minute drive. And we're always on like Discord chatting shit. Um, how to balance it? I don't know. It's you can't really, depending on the situation you're in, I feel like you can't forcefully, or you can't find a balance. The balance has to just fit in naturally. And if the balance between hobbies, friends, and work doesn't fit in naturally, then that's like it's not going to work out. There's a Japanese thing that is called like ikigai or something. I don't really know. I'm not a weeb, but it's like it's like the secret to happiness or some bullshit. Um, where it's if you fulfill all four criteria, one is like what you're good at, one is what you enjoy, one is what you can get paid for, and I can't remember the other one. But the combination of all four is like your ikigai. And
Hmm.
whether that's one thing or a few things, if you can do all of those, then that's like you've made it. You're living a good life. So if you're earning a lot of money at something you're good at, but you don't enjoy your work, then fucking sucks to be you. Sorry you're in that situation. I know not everyone's lucky enough to be in that situation. I imagine most people aren't. Um, and if you're good at something and you really enjoy it, like Melee, for example, Smash that I play, I can't get paid for it because there's no money in it, but that's okay because you just complete the other things with other parts of your life. Um, yeah, it's gotten a bit existential, but shit, yeah. Yeah, basically you can't choose to balance something. It's incredibly hard because if your friends are on a different schedule to you or don't live close enough or aren't part of your hobbies, then there's only so many hours in the day, and as true gamers, we're going to play RuneScape 18 hours a day. So you have to sacrifice some for the other, but I just find it naturally. Yeah, just do what you want, you know. If, if there's been times when I remember when Breath of the Wild came out, and I was like, yo, this game is sick. So I went to work. I was working more of a 9 to 5 schedule then. I was thinking about Breath of the Wild. All I wanted to do was go home and pray and play Breath of the Wild.
Hmm.
I didn't see anyone but my housemate until I completed it. Um, and that was fine. That's what I wanted to do. Like my friends weren't like, "Oh my God, we never see each other," or anything like that. They're just, they're my friends, so they get it, and we do the same sort of thing. I've got some really old friends who I've known since I was 15, and they're like probably yeah, they're my oldest friends that I've like kept in contact with, and I haven't spoken to them in probably a year, but I know I can just message them, be like, "Yo, I'm coming down your way in a bit, if you want to hang out," and they're like, "Yeah," and it won't be like weird or what the fuck, why haven't we communicated? And it's just having a nice group of friends that are just like, you know, understanding, not even understanding, not they're not even like making excuses or anything for me. It's just like this is just how life is and we get it and it's all fine.
Yes, absolutely.
And be
It's important to have those people.
yeah, being able to manufacture that in your life, I think, is really important. Life lessons with Jay. Uh, but yeah, just I guess the whole moral of Mayfield and Friends, of this episode at least, is I'd say do whatever you want if you can. If you can't, soz. Uh, sucks. That is the state of the world. Um, try your best, and hopefully you'll find happiness playing RuneScape.
Or playing Melee.
Yeah, or Melee. Yeah, yeah. If anyone plays Melee and you want to just like play me for fun, hit me up. Even if you're in like America, the ping's not too bad. Um, yeah. When I don't want to play RuneScape, I'll play Melee or a bit of chess. There's like t games that I play for a little bit, like even Breath of the Wild, which I grinded for like a month. That's like, you know, once you're done, you're done. Uh,
Yeah,
it's nice to have like, go on.
I'm with you in that it's hard to go back to those games because like nothing changes. It like
Yeah,
the like you do your shrines, you do the four beasts. Spoiler alert, you fight Ganon,
yeah,
you kill Ganon. I'm
yeah,
I've finished Breath of the Wild myself. Love the game, love the experience playing it. But it's one of those games like I thought about doing a playthrough in like the hard mode or the whatever it was mode,
yeah. Master mode. Yeah,
master mode, and I was like I played like a couple hours of that, and I was like I just nothing really changed.
yeah, yeah. It's not the same, and I find that I think it's important to have two of each thing that fulfills a certain desire in your
Absolutely.
life. And then if you get bored of one thing and that's your only outlet for a certain thing, it's like, well, shit, I'm missing out on something. And I feel like that might be why people stick to RuneScape. It's their outlet for like achieving goals that feel feel better than, I don't know, making money in real life or whatever. Um, so like two main games for me is Melee and Smash. They fulfill very different roles. Like, sorry, Melee and RuneScape. Like RuneScape is uh achieving goals, chilling out, bit of socializing, and then Melee is that like competitive. I want to win. Um, I think that's why I play chess a little bit as well. Like I don't like I'm not any good. I just play it online.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's
and when I don't
fun.
want to play Melee, yeah, it's kind of fun. Like I want to play chess to win, and I want to play Melee to win. And if I get bored in a single moment of doing one, I might do the other one to scratch that itch. And then it's like playing RuneScape or I don't know, doing housework. They're all working. Like they both give little bits of fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when I don't want to do the hoovering, I play RuneScape. And when I don't want to play RuneScape, or like I've been AFK in Castle Wars a lot, so I'm like, cool. Now I can, I don't know, move some shit around in my house or go to the shops. Just little things like that that gives you the hits of dopamine that you need
Yeah,
without
and you
getting
come back, the
too
game's
bored of
done.
one thing. Yeah, yeah,
But I'm with you on like when I'm making dinner and I'm watching a YouTube video, usually another cooking video to figure out okay, this is what I want to do next. I'm very similar in that aspect as you, and like same thing with chess. It's like my fallback. Like if I'm at like family Christmas and we're watching a show, or like people are watching a show I don't want to watch, or like the socializing is kind of people are eating, so the socializing is not really happening. So I'll run a quick
yeah,
game or two of chess on my phone. It's like
yeah. I feel like that might also be like a product of like growing up gaming. It's it's sort of like everyone's got symptoms of ADHD. Like we always need to be doing something, which is why people,
absolutely.
why people are on their phone the whole time. Even why like back in the day, people used to just read newspapers the whole time. And as a species, we've sort of trying to optimize the shit out of life and like optimize those little hits of dopamine in any way we can, whether it's from looking at a TikTok or playing RuneScape or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to try and like try and figure out why we enjoy certain things. That's sort of what I do. I enjoy thinking about like why is this cool? Why is this cringe? What part of the human psyche has led to us feeling this way? How do we fall so far from grace? Um, yeah, Yeah, food for thought.
And I think with your food for thought, I think that's a great point we can end off today.
Yeah, this has been a great therapy session for me. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
it.
I'm, Dr. Mayfield here to help it all as always.
Cheers. Yeah.
And I think that I find that like, as I say it's like it's been a joke for me, but most people who I've talked to have like really enjoyed just chatting because like it doesn't always have to be just about RuneScape the whole time. And that's
Yeah.
the cool part is like my a lot of my questions are very RuneScape focused, but like, you play other games. So we were able to talk about other games. The real life thing, like some people don't talk about real life. They separate their gaming life and real life. So it's like, some people are comfortable with that, some people are not. So it's
Yeah.
different people have different balances, and that's it's great to hear from different people and like their aspects. Some people just want to talk about RuneScape. Awesome.
Mm.
Some people want to like open up to like other things and like like we did have kind of like a kind of a big chat or like a big discussion on like the realities of what people find enjoyable. It's always
Yeah.
something new, something enjoyable, something fun.
Yeah. And like, I hope this comes across as a compliment, but from what I've said today, if I got bored from this podcast, I'd just like say, "All right, thanks, I'm done. Bye." So,
Yeah.
uh, thanks for being a good host. It was fun. How long are the podcasts usually?
Anywhere between 30 minutes and around 2 hours. It all depends on the person. Like, I've had a
Cool.
couple that were 45 minutes. I've had a couple that were hour 15, and this will be my second
Yeah.
one that sits around the 2 hour
Yeah,
one for.
we're hitting the 2 hour mark. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no,
Um,
and that's the thing too is like you said, if people got bored, I would not fault them at any point for being like, yeah, I'm like saying pausing to me like, hey, can we be done? And then
yeah,
and
yeah.
then I would just wrap it up, and then we'd be done because it
Yeah.
like you said, like full circle. Don't do things you don't want to don't enjoy doing if you don't have to.
Yeah, especially when it's a game, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, why are you doing this in the first place? It's for fun. Like,
Find a new
just
game.
yeah, huh?
Find a new game. Find a new hobby. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
I
just
love cooking. I used to hate it because I used to be like, wow, I should be playing RuneScape right now or playing a game or like doing something else.
yeah,
But now I'm like, man, what can I make? What can I really make enjoyable?
yeah. Like, I actually don't like cooking. I want to get into cooking, but I'm still like efficiency brained on like, oh, if it takes longer to longer active engagement in the cooking process, um, than it does eating. It's like, oh, it's such a waste of time because
Mm-hmm.
I don't enjoy the cooking process. I'd like to enjoy the cooking process because it's kind of it sounds fun and interesting and rewarding, but it just like stresses me out a bit. So that's something like I'm planning to work on in the future because right now like I still like you know cook actual meals like half the time, but I'll be like the minimized amount of time spent chopping or preparing something
Mm-hmm.
just to like min max my life.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I totally get it. Like if before we go, like biggest thing that got me into it that I find a lot of people like is find a guy on YouTube who makes food that like you just enjoy his personality because then
mm,
you can incorporate how he or she or they does things and be like, okay, well they do it like this and I really like how they do it. So what if I did like this? And then like it's kind of a weird like it's a weird thing. So I watch like a few different people do things and like I'll
yeah.
make things the next day that I saw them make that night before.
Mm,
So that's the big thing I would say is like find somebody that you enjoy watching do the thing you want to get into and then try and replicate that and then from there you can become your own individual in that space.
yeah, yeah. I think that's like really important for just your own identity. Like
Hmm.
I see people join the Smash community, and like as gamers, a lot of people are socially anxious or socially awkward, and that definitely used to be me. And I'm like, I see people who haven't, I don't know, developed their own not like developed their own personality, but just insecure about their own personality.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I just want to tell you, it's okay. It gets better. Like once you learn to accept the things that are like a bit unusual or whatever, and not worry whether people are gonna roast you for not being efficient or like
Mhm.
for only grinding 14 hours a day. Um, Obviously easier said than done. Um, I feel like an old man saying it does come with age, but yeah,
No, I'm with you. I'm
just
only
enjoy
25
yourself.
myself, and I get it.
Yeah, yeah. I think 25 was when I started to like become okay with me.
I That's
Like,
relatable. Very relatable statement you've just made.
yeah,
It is kind of the point where I'm like, man, maybe trying to be somebody else isn't the move.
yeah. I guess at the time you don't realize you're just like, this is who I want to be, and it's like that's cool, but is it? And you don't really know, and and I'll probably look back 5 years from now and think, God, Jay was a dumbass at 28. Like,
Mhm.
fuck did he know?
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
I'm sure many of us. I look back at like Facebook posts of myself from 16 years old, and I'm like, man, why did you post that? I delete things from my old Facebook all the time.
dude, can't remember the last time I went on Facebook. There's probably a lot of cringe that's I've been posted. And then I'm gonna look back from 5 years now. It's like, damn, I used to say cringe. That's cringe. Or the equivalent word. And yeah, that's life, baby. That's how it goes.
Well, thank you, Jay. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you.
Hey, and this,
Um,
like I said, this will probably go up first week of December. So
cool.
next guest I'm gonna have is a guy. His name is Alt Pure. He's a one defense UIM, virtually maxed at this point. Um, so one thing I actually got a request for is if you guys have any questions for these people, please leave them in the comments. If you have any questions, maybe not for that person or things you want to see me talk about with people, including like Jay, because I'm sure if you've listened to any of these Jay before, you know that I ask people like, hey, maybe a year and a half down the line, if you're still playing the game, we can catch up again, find out what you're doing, talk more.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna read all the comments. Good or bad. If you want to talk shit, that's honestly fine. I think it'd be funny. I do have a confession to make though.
Okay,
I've not listened to your podcast. I've listened to like 5 minutes total.
that's totally fine.
Because I don't know, I don't find podcasts interesting to me. However, the redeeming factor is, I've listened to all your songs on your EP several times. I like them.
Nice.
Shout outs to And the Canary Fell.
Dude, huge. Thank you. I'll put the if anybody's interested in like my band's music, I'll definitely put it in the description of this one as well. So, you have anything to
What
say before we head off?
what genre would you say it is? It's like
Post hardcore
I,
is what we say it. It's like different than that, but that's just the kind of umbrella we define it as.
yeah, I was gonna say hardcore. It's got a bit of like doom vibes as well.
Yeah, there's like some black melody
Like
parts, some
yeah,
post
like
some post
doomy
rock stuff.
shoegazy stuff. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
sick.
So you got
Um,
anything to say before we head out?
shit. Yeah, not really. Shout outs to I don't know. My local smash scene, the Salt and Shack. Shout outs to Sea Skillers. I don't know. Yeah, just yeah. That's it. I'm Gucci.
All right. Well, thank you again. Pleasure.
Cheers, dude.
And I hope the rest of your evening and your holidays are wonderful.
Thank you. You too, man. Catch you later.
Peace out.